I don't see how to keep up. I don't see how to keep up with all that. You have more. There's more than one, right? Isn't there more than one? Oh.
I closed down like 7 1 page. I couldn't keep count. 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Non-stop sending me. I wasn't going to do that. Maybe if you want, but I'm going to. And it is.
You want to start from the top, or do you want to? Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this shit.
Yeah, the little girl is like the shoes.
We won't talk about what we already talked about.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess usually we would kind of start from the top on this, but yeah, I don't know. New streaming software kind of iffy. I guess that is a negative on starting to use that. We will stick with this, so we should be all good now. Just go back to simple and standard. A couple features I was going to do tonight is no longer possible due to that, but overall, main thing is we just want to be able to at least. You got to be able to see us. I mean, damn, that's kind of the point of the show.
Come on now.
Anyway, so without further ado, I guess now would be a good time to go ahead and bring up Mr. Zach Brewer, straight from Winston-Salem. We're gonna switch out Stefan and Zach here for the next little bit. Talk with Zach. See how you're feeling. Are you feeling good?
Yeah, man.
You look good.
Thank you.
You look real good.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, first hint is you want to kind of like sort of have it close to your mouth. You'll be able to hear yourself, but you look that's perfect right there.
Yeah, I figured you'd be able to hear me pretty good.
Yeah, but anyway, so how's everything been? What have you been doing the last little bit? I guess introduce yourself a little bit for those who may not have met you yet.
Well, I grew up running the Dash Series and stuff, and that's how I met your dads and stuff, and you guys when you were younger. And then when the Dash Series folded up, I switched over to doing some modifieds and stuff, and now I'm ended up at my home track at Bowman Gray and run a few races here and there, and just run long as it's fun and enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, my thing's always like for you. What is the? Do you run modifieds because you grew up watching modifieds at Bowman Gray, and that's your thing?
I do. I mean, that's what meant the most to me was the modifieds growing up, and then as other people that I raced with in the dash, I got ready to go somewhere in the cars. Hutto, Lyndon Amick, and all those guys, and BJ were all guys that I grew up racing go-karts with. And at that time, you guys know the Dash Series was the place to go, so that's where they had went. And there wasn't really a Southern Modified Tour at that time. So, if you wanted to go outside of Bowman Gray, you couldn't go anywhere with a modified. So at that time, I never really even thought about running at Bowman Gray because I wanted to go further than that.
Yeah.
So we went the Dash route, and I really enjoyed that, man. It was kind of like what K&N is today, you know, and stuff. And I think it was even a little bit bigger than K&N just because you run the big tracks.
Much better,
yeah. So I mean, it was a really great deal, really great people. It was probably, I've tested some trucks and stuff, but that was the best part of my racing career was just racing with those people and the families and stuff that I got to enjoy.
Yeah, and it was so well covered too. I mean, you got to watch the Dash Series on TV. Yeah. I mean that was awesome and live they had live.
Some of them were.
It was live.
Daytona
when we
was live.
Ran the Thursday before the 500, it was huge.
Oh,
I mean, it was. You would kind of see people start coming in on Thursday for the twins, and then it was just a big deal. When we moved it to, you guys might remember because it's about the time you guys were born, but they moved it to the shootout weekend.
Yeah.
And it still was a big deal, but it was nothing like it was. I mean, there was people there, and it was still huge and all that, but it was nothing like when we were the Friday before.
When did they do that?
That was probably 01.
So they had to have been the last couple of years of it.
2001, something like that. They moved it to the shootout weekend, and it was still a good deal, I mean, it's still a lot of people there and stuff. And then actually, I was looking back and through some old stuff the other day, and in 2001 we ran in July also. We ran 2 times there, so it was pretty neat.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's always interesting to talk to the guys that were heavily involved in the Dash Series now because almost each and every one of you guys all say that that was your best time of your racing career. Not necessarily maybe because of the competition, but because of the people that were involved in the series as a whole. It was more of a, and dad'll say this too, and I'm sure his dad will too, but I'm going to say family, but it was a family per se, that there was, 15 guys that were making a living in this series that weren't your, up and coming kid. They were someone who raced in this series every week and possibly, year to year, and made a living in that series and seen each other every week too. So I think that's always interesting to hear you guys say that that was your best time in your career. And it's sad to say that is gone. I feel like we don't have that anymore these days,
Yeah, and that's what I meant was the people. I mean, Mike Simons was a series director. Of everybody that I've raced under for a series director, I learned more from every official in that deal, just through growing pains and learning to be a better person. And they always have that with the red lights on when you're in the trailer, and I was in there with a lot of times when the red light was on, but I wouldn't take those issues, or I learned a lot from those moments and those people. And it's a pretty cool deal, like you said, to talk to people, because we were one big family, and there was, like you said, there was like 10 to 15 people that could win a race in that time, and we could have rivals and race hard, and even have our arguments and stuff, but there was nothing that carried over, and it was everybody. I mean, it was just such a close knit group of people, and I was going back through some of the old stuff again, like I was saying, and I just looked at the schedule and how far we traveled each week, and it how you to think how far we went, and those people just were always together, like you said, every week and stuff. It was just it was a really great. I'm glad to be a part of that deal in that era, because it was such a cool group of people.
I mean, I can just name. There's so many that I can think of right now, and I've always been kind of aggravated at myself because there's not obviously nothing I can do, but I really wish that I could have grown up a little bit closer to that era, just so I could experience it a little more, because I feel like we're not able to experience what like my dad and you and everyone were able to experience in that series, because we just don't have anything like that these days.
What's funny is I do the same thing, but the era before, like I'd like to grow up in the 80s and the late 70s and do that stuff, and that's just, we're a transition, and I'm sure you guys, once you get older, you'll think the same thing of this era and how it changes and stuff, but like you said, there's so many people in that deal that have moved on to bigger careers and stuff, and it was just such a great stepping stone, to get the short tracks and the super speedway experience that you can't go get that now unless you run ARCA or whatever,
And that costs so dang much to do it that just no middle ground like the Dash Series was.
Yeah, and how old were you when you ran Dash?
I started running Dash in 98, and I was a senior in high school, so I'd have been 17, 18, something like that.
That's so damn.
Yeah,
like,
that's
imagine,
crazy.
That's when I first started running late models or limiteds, and you started younger, but
14.
still, yeah. I mean, at that age, just how damn cool. I mean, I'm sure you didn't really. I mean, you got to appreciate it, but just like how awesome that was.
And I realize it more now than I did then. Talking to people, or one of the guys, Kevin Neal, I raced with at the stadium. His son's like 14, 15, and I was talking to him over the weekend about him starting, and he's like, he ran Daytona, and you don't think about that, but a lot of people don't get to do that,
So.
You
got to run Daytona as a senior in high school.
Was pretty cool. Everybody was watching on the TVs and stuff, so you just take that stuff for granted, but now you understand how
and
much
not
it means.
Spending much more than typical late model budgets nowadays. Like I mean obviously it was more than it is, but like for instance, you can go race at Daytona right now if you want to, but you don't spend a few $1 million to get there. And back then, I mean, obviously you needed some help, outside help and stuff like that, but it wasn't near as much as it is now.
You didn't have all the, you brought your pit crew with you. You brought enough people and stuff. Like I had a bunch of people come out of Florida and would help me and stuff, and would come to every race. But I think the year that we ran the whole deal, like 98, 99, I think we did it on like 90. Mm-hmm. And that was like a 15, 18 race deal. So you break that up. That's not too bad with hung bodies. You guys talk about this whole deal, like this place here, like I would come and get my bodies hung here, and so I learned so much here of who I am with Brett and Ty and your dad and stuff, and so. I mean, people talk about where they slept on the couches and stuff at some of this. This is where I slept on the couch and where I learned how to do, the bodies and stuff for our cars for Daytona. And it's just, it's pretty neat to see it all evolve.
Well, you probably don't pass tech much then.
Well, Eric would do a lot of the bodies, and I don't know if you remember or not, but there wasn't YouTube and all that at the time. But that's when you first got cordless tools and all that, and you had Power Wheels, and we would. That was back when nobody knew about putting 2 batteries on a Power Wheel, and we had your Power Wheel so fast back in the day. Man, it was hilarious around here.
I remember it. I mean, there was a lot of cool. My dad actually told me this when I told him you were coming on. He told me a story. Is like, man, one time I was driving to Kentucky, and I had to go pick up a trailer for Jimmy Gross. He was fielding his car at the time. I had to go pick up a trailer in Kentucky, and Zach was over. He was over here doing something, and he was like, "Well, I gotta." Dad was like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'll be back tomorrow." And he said, "Hell, I'll ride with you." And Dad was like, "Well, call your dad. Make sure it's all good." And I guess you said you called him and got in the truck, and he said he was going across the North Carolina state line. You said, and your dad called you, like, "Where you at, dumbass? You got to come home. You got school tomorrow." Something like that. And he said, Dad said, I had to turn around and take him to meet somebody to take him back home. I already drove an hour and a half. He just thought that was funny as heck. I mean, I couldn't. That sounds like something I would still do today. But
I just wanted to be a part of it, at the
awesome.
time. They were so, he was doing the pit crew stuff and Ty was doing the body stuff. I can't remember where he was at the time and stuff. And they all come here at night. And, this is where you come to get your body hung back in the day if you wanted to run good and stuff. And I can't remember. We went to your dad's for something. I can't remember if he built a rack for me, but I remember the pool stuff and all that. And your grandpa was out there and stuff. And just, where those cars come, the the White House cars, where they come from and stuff. And, this just being, that's such an iconic car to me, you know what I mean? So it's, it was neat just to see those, Cam had the big sponsors, the White House stuff. I wish there was more of that today,
There was a lot of relatively big companies that were involved in the Dash Series. Maybe not, I guess it was, towards the ending too, but I remember watching some late 90s races, and you see Wesson oil on Cam Strader's car, and then you see freaking Pennzoil on the 28.
Yep.
You had White House and Pat's Blue Ribbon. I mean, there was just
Old Milwaukee.
Old Milwaukee. I mean, there was larger companies that were involved at a smaller level, but when you think about it now, the times have changed, and the value of money is obviously with inflation and everything, but to race a full touring division off of $90,000, and I remember Dad telling me that his White House money was somewhere around that number too, to do what he did, and they worked on, him and Astro worked on it themselves, and then, it's funny too, the people that went to the track with him are literally like the people that helped me on my late model when I was racing for, the full season at Hickory, or
their sons.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Now you have, shops of all these people working on it, or, all these full-time guys that are working.
Full-time people,
Yeah. For late models, and
the new thing for me is spotters. It's hard for me to pay for a spotter.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to pay for a spotter. I just can't understand that. But I know where that's how it is today, and you have to do stuff like that. But it's hard. That's one of the hardest new things for me to have to do is pay for a spotter.
That's one thing me and Landon don't really have to worry about with our dads being there. So unless our dads are gone, then I'm kind of in trouble.
See, my dad couldn't spot for me. He could be my crew chief and stuff, but we just wouldn't work as a spotter deal.
Well, I feel like that's always racing with Dad. The way I've grown up racing, I've only tried to cross him a few times, and never worked out for me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I was very raw when I first started racing. I'd been racing since I was 4 years old, but I didn't get into a stock car until I was 14. So I was trying to learn from him as much as I could, and we never really butted heads like really bad. So the spotting deal always worked because I never would open my mouth, and when I did, I got in trouble. So I learned to just shut up and listen most of the time. But we've had a unique relationship, I think, when it comes to the spotting deal, and because he's always been able to spot for me, we never really had any issues. But
Yeah.
I know other people, that it just doesn't work. But I don't know, for some reason we've always just had a relationship that has worked.
I don't know who I would get to spot for. Like if my dad wasn't around, like couldn't spot, I would probably have to pay somebody because it damn sure wouldn't be Brent, and definitely not my grandpa because he would yell at me the whole time. So I would be paying somebody. Sure as hell, I wouldn't be paying Nick Payne. I know that.
No,
That would be a mistake.
Yeah.
I drove for your grandpa one time at Greenville Pickens. I don't remember, and I don't think it was planned. I think something I was trying to think that today or the other day when you called and asked me to be on, and I was trying to remember.
Did you fill in for somebody?
I can't remember. Something I think happened to my car. I think I broke those cars actually had timing belts at the time.
Yeah.
And I think we broke a timing belt in practice. And I don't know if is it Michael, your uncle?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he was driving and then he just kind of got out and they let me drive or what, but I ended up driving and we would have won the race at Greenville Pickens, except a wire come off with like 4 to go off the back of the ignition switch and it started skipping. We were leading.
Yeah.
So,
did you have any dash wins?
Yeah, I won at Bristol, Atlanta, and Lonesome Pine, a couple other places and stuff like that. When I won at Bristol, it was still 2 pit roads. And I had watched Jay Cobga go out in qualifying and hadn't tried it all day, and he didn't lift when I was sitting there next car go out. And I go, well, all right, let's just see how this goes.
Yeah.
And I spun out and had to take a provisional and put it on the backstretch and come back and won. That was in
notice that. Had to take a provisional.
Yeah.
So they was sending people home.
Yeah.
That's a major key. Just to sit. If you hear the word provisional,
that was in my 5th dash start, and Daytona was my first, and I was running in the top 5 at Daytona, and tore the clutch out on the second pit stop, and just for the big old gear, I just wasn't used to that.
Yeah,
trying to leave.
Yeah, that's still. Well, I envy the hell out of you because I've always thought, me and Landon's talked about it before, just how cool it would be if me and him would have got to run dash. If like the series was still
functioning,
still going with a full head of steam, how cool it would be for me and him to race, even Scott Weaver's son to race. Mm-hmm. Just people like that, man. It's just.
I'm not real sure why they folded it up because it had a lot of factory backing from Pontiac, Toyota. Toyota just got in it and stuff, and
I don't know why NASCAR.
They just done away with All Pro, and I kind of feel this is to consolidate and stuff, but it was.
But the car counts were still good.
Yeah, I mean I don't understand all that, and then after all that deal when it switched over and. They had the first deal at Daytona, and that's when all that deal with Ray and the guy. And it just, I never did much of that other deal. Just once they started doing the names and stuff on the side, that was enough for me. I was I'm going modified racing, but
is that when you started modified racing?
Yeah. I mean, I dabbled in it. I just was it was a little bit closer to home.
Yeah,
and just a couple opportunities opened up to go modified racing, and. Just a different avenue to go. I was ready for a change, and then I wanted to stick with that at the time. You wanted to stick with NASCAR, something that you felt like you still trying to do something.
Yeah.
I got tired of doing the hunt for the money. Trying to do the truck, and that's right when it went from being, talent to money. Gordon come along in '95 to 98, through there, and that's when it went from being a talent to a money type deal. I just got tired of chasing the money.
About the year 2002, or well, I guess 2000, the turn of the millennium is when everybody decided, well, hell with talent.
Yeah.
Time for some money.
Yeah.
I think that it just progressive costs of NASCAR escalated so fast that people were still, I guess, looking for talent. There were still driver development programs, but then the other people that were finding people with money were doing better because it costs so much to do it. So
that and a couple of things that I didn't realize how much it grew from 98 to 02 or 03 there right after Dale died. How much it was still growing through there. You know what I mean? You don't realize as you're a part of it that it's growing that fast.
Yeah.
Coming along.
somebody said the mic is swallowing your face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. You gotta show your face. Maybe move
You
the
can
mic
move the
down.
mic.
It's been-
Yeah, you can move the mic.
Maybe if you pull the mic down and like tilt it up
There you go. How's that?
a little better, you'll be able to. There you go. Now we can see him. Anyway, Corey Latham also said Zach Brewer never heard of her. Right there. He also said he'd spot. I'm not gonna reply to that one. Actually, that's who you didn't get to run the Renegade race. You didn't touch on that.
No, so
That would have been a great spotter for you for that.
yeah. So what happened with my big Renegade debut is we got time to load, and we quickly realized that we didn't have anything to pull
Yeah, your sponsor,
the Renegade.
Mobile One, pulled out last second,
Yeah,
and just
disaster.
it was a terrible money deal. Just
Just caught up in so many issues and just couldn't get the Renegade to the racetrack. But I have talked to car owner, and he's still wanting to proceed. So yeah, we're gonna we're gonna make that debut at some point, but maybe when we have like something to tote it to the track with.
Yeah.
So it was very depressing to not be able to drive that
I'm
thing.
Sure.
But
I'm sure. So this has kind of turned into a reminiscing episode of the Dash Days, but it's just hard not to talk about how damn cool that was. I mean, it reminds me. Yesterday, I was we got April fooled at work. We was literally in the pit department just working, gluing up tires, whatever. And Ray said, "Hey, y'all gotta go up to the museum and help them." So we was like, "All right." So we all leave work, get in the cars, drive to the museum. We go inside the museum. They're like, "What are you guys doing here?" That was his joke. It's super weak. Anyway, but we walked in, and just so happened at the time this guy was looking through this old like driver or this old manual. Like it was like this. It was tiny, but it was some kind of like preseason manual. And like he just happened to be on the Baby Dram page with a picture of my grandpa right there. Just and that was just it was crazy. It was just a coinky dink, but
He's the first person I ever seen old school check how much wedge you had in a car with a socket.
oh,
Like where you stick it above the tire and how much difference it is.
how did that happen?
It's one of the darndest things I ever seen him do is when he was setting a car up there one time.
I can't say I'm surprised, but okay. So I want to do some rapid fire questions with you.
All right.
We'll have 10 of them.
turn the mic sideways.
Yeah, there's like a front and back. It's like there you go. Where are we at here? Rapid fire. So 10 questions.
We did this with Andy Houston.
Yeah, you're the next
So
guy. Andy
you're,
Houston.
You're the
did it.
second
You're the
person to
second
do
guy.
this.
So bear with us here. So I'm not even gonna go over the rules. Just answer damn questions.
All right.
Number 1, favorite track.
Orange County or Bristol? I like high speed, high
Heck yeah.
legs.
That's crazy. Why you race Bone Dre?
Yeah, you guys like a polar
It's not my favorite place to run at all.
Yeah. So least favorite track. All time. What track do you hate the most?
There's got to be one that stands
Probably
out.
Greenville Pickens.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's just such a pedal fest.
Mm-hmm.
It is. You
there's
can't.
It's flat. It's
Yeah.
pedal fest. You just can't. At least Myrtle Beach, there's a top. To roll and stuff. But
Greenville just feels like you're dragging your ass the whole time.
Yeah.
it's just around the wall. There's nowhere. And it's dark. Caraway's not my favorite either. It's dark.
I haven't ever been to Caraway, but
So, favorite number?
31 or 45. 31's my number.
Where did that come from?
RCR.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
at the time, I had a lot of guys that would come over and help. My shop was right there at the high school, if you know where that's at.
Oh yeah.
So it was 5 minutes. So people come over at lunch, come after work, and I was an Earnhardt fan growing up, so
Yeah.
I didn't really want to run the 3, So
Yeah.
I ended up with 31. 45 is my next favorite number, and that's just because it was Adam's number.
Okay.
that's what I remember you most as. Like my most vivid memories of you from the Dash days were definitely 31.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Most memorable race that you were either in or watched? Like, what is one race that when you lay down at night, that's the one you think of?
Bristol's pretty cool. That was my first, dash win. Of course,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna say your first win, and just the way we did it, with the back stretch pit deal. But like me and Stephen were talking about earlier, I won the Myrtle Beach 400, the modified part, and
Oh yeah.
14 or 15. That was on my own with me and my dad and stuff. So that win means a
Yeah,
lot to
absolutely.
me. So
I think anytime you could win at, I mean, Bristol is just
Yeah, that's just
iconic.
badass. I mean,
period.
like that's like the only one that you top that is like Daytona.
yeah, I
maybe.
mean,
Like, that's
getting,
the only one that I would say. Yeah, I might like to have that trophy, but damn, Bristol.
yeah, getting to
just
race
imagine-
at Bristol was just crazy in itself. And Stefan, I know he got to do it this past year, but you know, watching Dad race there and everything, and then getting to go in there and actually drive something there was just pretty freaking cool. So I can't imagine winning there. But
So, if you could drink a beer with one race car driver, dead or alive, who would it be?
without a doubt, Tim Richmond.
Yeah.
that's such a
Without a
compliment.
doubt.
everybody
doubt.
says Tim Richmond. So yeah, I mean, there's just why you're
If you have to
only
ask
one-
why, then you shouldn't even be watching.
yeah,
the
it's
podcast.
either it's either Dale or Tim. You say anybody else, I
Nah.
just kind of unless it's some kind of short track legend. That's where we like maybe Butch Lindley or something like that, or old Dick Trickle. But still, yeah, if you got Tim Richmond on the list, I mean, how do you not?
White Knight.
Yeah. What else we got? Do you have any superstitions before the race? Anything that you particularly don't do or have to do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I try to be superstitious because stuff happens all the time, so it gives you another reason for something. But, I'm not a big. I like my mom. I used to get aggravated or not let her wear green to the track, and that was a big deal. I know people, and I've stay away from peanuts. to
F the
track,
peanuts, man.
stuff like that.
I had never heard of that.
That and-
I eat the shit out of peanuts at the racetrack. It never really bothered me.
Boiled peanuts is real bad.
Yeah, boiled
Oh
peanuts.
well, I don't eat boiled peanuts. At the
I don't break.
racetrack.
I don't break the 50s at the track. I don't bring 50s to the racetrack.
Okay, yeah.
That's about it.
Do you have any superstitions?
Not really. I mean, peanuts is just one that's like instilled in me by Dad. Like I do not eat boiled peanuts. Peanuts, I guess, is fine, but if you touch boiled peanuts, hell
boiled?
no.
No, I never mess with boiled.
Boiled peanuts used to be like you could get them at racetracks.
Yeah,
It
that's the
used to
thing.
be.
Mm-hmm.
I would put them in other people's cars that was
Yeah.
superstitious more than anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I really have any major ones. I feel like I always like to have. It rotates on which one it is, but I like to wear a particular shirt or something underneath my fire suit. Now I wear a Sparko, but at the time I just wear a t-shirt or whatever. And I had this shirt that was like Lucky Brand or something, and I wore it one time and I won. So then I'd wear it every time. Damn thing ran out of luck, and it stinks now. It's got holes in it too. So that one's now a shop rag. So yeah, no big superstitions for me. What is the next one? Track that you would like to race that you haven't got to race.
Snowball Derby. I mean, when you went, I kind of followed you and just I was really envious of that. But Snowball Derby.
Oh yeah.
I don't have many goals left or things I want to do. I mean, I'd like to win a race at the stadium. I've never ran. I've only ran a handful of races there a year, 5, 6. It's just tough to win over there. I mean, I'd like to win there, just so I could quit going over there.
But you got to win first.
Yeah, that's the only reason I really
No, you
go
can't
over
quit
there
without winning.
But yeah, ultimate goal would be to if I won the lottery, I would definitely do the Snowball Derby right away. Would be
Absolutely.
the first thing I'd do.
Well, that answers the next question basically. But what would you do with $1 million?
I would run the Snowball Derby,
Mhm.
and I would.
So you had to spend it in a day. You
yeah,
gotta get rid of it.
I would fund somebody to do some racing. I would
Mhm.
go racing. I would put back into the sport, give back, and go race.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably buy a gold plated.
That would be the
Civic.
only way I would if I won the lottery. I would. You couldn't get me to buy race cars again.
No.
Not right now.
Last one, a car that you would like to try that you haven't driven, a race car.
My wife's gonna kill me when I have to say this, but
Yeah.
I would like to run a Silver Crown or a sprint car. My best friend got paralyzed in it,
Yeah.
but when you go to those races, I mean, those things are like based off tractors.
Yeah.
And there's tons of stagger, and they're just cool. I mean, you actually manhandle that thing. There's no radio. I mean, you sit on the rear end.
Yeah.
The steering box is right at your knees. I mean, just everything just is cool about it.
Yeah.
And everything's kind of got safe in stock cars, so that's the outlaw type deal if you go run or whatever. But some kind of non-wing midget sprint car type deal.
I would like to run the Chili Bowl in a midget.
Yeah,
I think that would be
cool.
I think Chili Bowl is. I think the Chili Bowl is different from like your big sprint car stuff. Like say on a
Well, yeah,
like from a safety standpoint, because I feel like the Chili Bowl.
not going as fast.
No, I mean I feel like you're not.
You can still get you a good dinger though.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
where
yeah.
I went on
But-
my bachelor party. Chili Bowl.
Hey,
Get a real good dinger.
yeah.
Yeah, but Chili Bowl would be cool, and like you said, I mean, it's a little bit less dangerous. I've seen that they've asked Kyle Busch if he'd ever run it. He said his wife wouldn't let him, but
I don't know. I'm not a huge. I like watching them. I just don't. Too many people get hurt for me, and I just don't.
yeah.
I don't know. I like getting in a freaking roll cage in a race car, not in that little. I don't know. I just feel like they're just made so light, but I don't know anything about them really, so I can't like.
Yeah.
They're badass for sure.
I mean, do you have you ever ran one on iRacing?
Yes.
You still iRace, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's okay. But anyway,
they're pretty fun on iRacing. I
Yeah.
will say that the midgets are.
well, like sprint cars, like the Eldora drift up where you're throttle down and right against the fence. Like I cannot imagine actually doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I mean, I would definitely not
My-
wear a
my-
white fire suit.
Shane tells me all kinds of stories about jumping the cushion and riding up on the wall and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's hard. It was on iRacing. It's hard for me to back up into the cushion and catch the cushion and stuff. But I'm figuring it out. The hardest car for me to run on iRacing, to believe it or not, is the IMCA modified,
Yeah.
just a stock front clip type mod. I mean, it's
I haven't ran the modified. I've ran about every other dirt car on there.
that
But
was
the
the hardest
modified
car for me to learn. to
Really?
drive.
just run. Is it?
It's
Does it
just so
drive tight?
biked up. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you've got to get it
Torque.
rotating before it gets even get in the corner and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fully cushion type car, you know.
I'll tell you what. Me and the friends, me and Landon too. There's been some good races. There's been some, but there's never been anything like me and you racing street stocks against each other at Lanier. I mean, we beat the shit out of each
We ran.
other. For
We ran a dirt street stock
100
race,
laps.
and it was.
It was gonna be good until my ass got a black flag before the. Or what happened? Oh, I didn't ready up in time, and they started me on
Yeah.
pit road. I think you started on the pole, and I started third.
Lanier has that long pit road too. that
Yeah,
takes
man,
forever
it's
to get out of.
won that bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had to go all the way to the. I shouldn't go out until the damn man. I should have
Those-
protested that.
Those
Lanier,
are-
Lanier was another cool track that we ran back in the day.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, is it kind of similar to Tri County?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We pulled the motor out one time there with the record one time. We didn't have an engine voice with us and stuff.
Damn.
Could you run the top there when you?
No,
You couldn't.
No,
it was
all
all on
the
the bottom.
bottom. Yeah, you could run the flat there a little bit back in the day, but there was no. You couldn't get up top.
The Tri County now that it's worn out, you can run
Yeah, you could run
up a little bit.
It's all
There was,
up
there was
top now.
cracks. So last time I was at Tri County, there was cracks big enough you could stick your fist down in.
Yeah, a piece of pavement came up and went through a girl's windshield last year,
Yeah, dead through it.
like like a hole this big.
But that's one of the best place. I'd like to see that place get a little love. That's probably one of the best places around here as far as
Yeah.
racing. It's
Only
been.
thing that really runs there now is like Southeast Super Trucks a couple times a year. Man, I think.
There's a couple limited races.
Yeah, they
there,
do a
but-
couple limited things. Which
That-
I still haven't got to run there. I'd love to race there.
Dude, that by a long shot is my favorite win so far in my career, and it was just a limited race that was basically had some late model, like probably I think there was 6 or 7 late model drivers, like true late model drivers that were in it. But it was a limited race, 100 lapper, and I raced side by side with Charlie Watson for the last probably 20 laps. And I mean, I don't think I've ever worked that hard for a win, but for the very limited amount of times you can race at Tri County now, for me to win there was pretty cool because Dad raced there a lot too, just like Hickory coming up. And you know, like I said, I just don't know how many chances I'll get at Tri County again. So to win that one was pretty special. But yeah, the racing there is just insane
I
now.
remember back in the
Always
day
is.
when you could run Friday. You would run Friday at Tri County and then Hickory on
Mhm.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Dad
See,
won.
I wonder why, like, they did that deal at Tri County this past weekend, like we mentioned earlier, that Clark raced in. It'd have been cool if they'd ran that on Friday night, and
Yeah.
and then done Saturday. You know,
Problem
just
is-
instead of competing with Hickory,
Yeah, but I mean, the trucks didn't run at Hickory Saturday. Well, yeah, they did, didn't they?
Trucks and limiteds, and limiteds only had 8 cars at Hickory Saturday.
But the limited deal that ran at Tri County, it's not. The rule book
Yeah,
is way
But
different.
it's actually
from-
limiteds.
Yeah, like you got to run a different set of shots.
You can't run
and-
enforcers,
No.
and I'm pretty sure it's them. Isn't it that Pro Shock
Yeah,
deal
you
or
got to run the
whatever?
Pro Shock deal that they. I mean, it's actually probably a good deal. The only problem is you got to change so much to go run it. that a
Yeah.
lot of those guys, you
Well,
know,
the true limited guys, it's great for them. But like
Yeah.
cars like mine last year, that was a late model, like a kind of late model limited, like stupid, right in the middle. I mean, having an enforcer with a what was it, a 450 carburetor? I mean, I felt like I was racing a late model last year when I was running
Yeah.
limiteds, and I mean that's to me was crazy. And I was still under horsepower to some guys that were able to put more money into it. But anyway, one other thing I want to talk to you about, and you kind of mentioned him earlier, is you said your buddy Shane Mill. I always growing up, there's pictures of me on that wall. He was my dude. I don't know why. I think he used to come over here. Well, are y'all the same age?
Yeah.
Same
yeah.
age.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit older than he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I remember he used to come over here with Dad, and I guess I play video games with Dad, like NASCAR 2003 or whatever it was. Right, that was probably like '99 or something at that time. But I just remember that, and I always thought that you and Shane, that was just as guys I looked at. You probably did the same, because at that time, you guys were 18, 19, 17, whatever it was, and me and Landon were 44.
I mean, I don't like.
But
Finish what you're
no, you're good. I was just
gonna say, like, my recollection, like, of you and Shane, it's very minimal when I was very young, but I remember right when, like, probably the last year of the Dash Series, Shane was running some bigger stuff, I think, at that point, or maybe he was like teeter-tottering back and forth. But I do remember Shane, like, not necessarily like vivid conversations, but I remember seeing Dad and Shane talk on pit road, and I remember Dad talking about how he was going to be good and how he could rein himself in. He was a hell of a talent and everything, and it's just crazy because he ended up winning a truck race, and all that was right around that same time. But yeah, I wish I had more. I wish I had more solid memories of that time, but I just don't have a lot. And then, it was obviously cool to follow Shane when he, got into USAC and stuff, and I was a huge advocate of him and pulling for him then too. So
Yeah, and see, I never really followed the USAC and stuff until he got involved in it and stuff, and would go help in a couple races and stuff, and it's pretty neat to be able to learn that stuff, especially the asphalt silver crown and stuff like that. There's just so much difference in all that stuff. But he was one of the good ones, and just everybody has each to their own on the reasons of what happened, why, and all that, and it is what it is, and we all learn from it and grow from it, and he's doing good today. He's doing a lot of drone stuff, and he still goes to quite a bit of races and stuff, and so I mean, that was really, like I said, we were all just happy to be a part of it back then. We didn't know how. We all had it so good, you know what I mean, and it was just something that you had to figure out how you're going to do it, you know what I mean, and he just chose things just didn't work out for him like they should have been. I always wish to know what would have happened with Shane.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but he was, I think he was destined for Indy. I know that's where he was wanting to go. I think he would have seen a really promising career in the Indy deal.
I think for sure.
His dream was to be the next American in the Indy 500 to road to.
I think
we gotta take a break real quick. This thing is audio's getting weird. So we're gonna take a 5-minute break here.